Back to 1974, you two were working side by side.
Yes.
What formed the idea? What was the callus to say?
Well, to really get to understand it, we were personally deeply involved in setting up those retail branches to sell Chamberlain and John Deere products. We'd go into a town, as I mentioned earlier, we'd pick out the best dealer. Maybe he wasn't even in the tractor and farm equipment business. Maybe he was a car dealer or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes we found people who would finance a business and let it start in a country town. But it meant that we had to do everything. We had to set up the man's books. We had to help him find premises. We had to buy the pot plants. You know, we were emotionally involved with that. And when they said, well, no, we're going to flog off all those retail branches, you didn't have to be very smart to hear the knocking on the door.
Yeah.
We could run one of these businesses. We could do this. We could do this with our ears back, no trouble at all. All we've got to do is get the money. We did all that, and we started the business and got going.
We were in a pretty privileged position at the time when they made that decision to get out of retailing. You know, Ron was the general sales manager for construction equipment, and I was the general sales manager for agricultural equipment. So we knew what was going on, and there was a bit of opposition internally. Here are the two key executives in the marketing team looking at leaving the company and going out on their own. And that was a pivotal point, wasn't it? But fortunately, the marketing manager at the time was totally supportive of our venture, even though we were leading as his right-hand men to go out on our own. That was their attitude. If people are going to leave, the best thing they can do is to follow the product. So we got their full support in the end. The scariest part for me anyway was that when we put the application in, the general manager then said, well, you realise, boys, if your application is not successful, you have declared yourselves as wanting to leave the company, and we may look for your resignation. So that was, do you want to reconsider? And we said, no, we want to pursue the opportunity of going into business with ourselves.
At the time, I was about 35, 36, and I was full of it. You know, I didn't have any fears whatsoever about going into this business, none whatsoever. I've been asked the question many times, look, you flogged everything, you've got your hands on as much money as you possibly can to get it over the line. If it fails, this is not going to fail. You've got to understand this is going to be very successful. And I never had any doubts about it.
Did you start to expand geographically?
I'd say almost immediately.
Yeah, yep.
We started looking at farm equipment dealerships almost immediately, which is another part of our business that no longer exists. After many years, we elected to sell off our farm equipment dealerships and concentrate on trucks and earth-moving construction equipment. The lead times were shorter. You weren't under the spell of the weather. That's farming for you. You know, it rains, it's terrific. If it doesn't rain, it's not so terrific. So we moved right out of farm equipment over a period of time. And Rob still wishes we had a couple of farm equipment dealerships. Maybe we will one day.